In the peaceful small town of Umuachi, where the hills rolled gently under the sky and the rivers whispered stories of old, lived Chike Okolo. He was a man of wisdom, a storyteller, and a farmer admired by all. His wife Nneka and their son Dike were the light of his world. He would invite his brother Eze for dinner, and the family lived in harmony. Chike was not rich in wealth, but in heart and spirit. He often reminded his son, wealth is not in possession, but in the strength of one's heart and kindness we show to others. Life in Umuachi was simple yet vibrant. The town buzzed with sounds of daily life, the chatter of neighbors, the clinking of tools in the marketplace, and the songs of children playing in the streets. It was a place where people shared laughter, burdens, and traditions. But as the elders say, life is like the seasons, ever changing. What began as a peaceful existence would soon be shaken by the storms of fate. One fateful season, a dark shadow fell over Okolo family. Chike, the pillar of their home, fell gravely ill. What began as a simple fever grew worse with each passing day. The town's healer did all she could, but the gods seemed to have written a different story. When Chike passed away, the air in Umuachi grew heavy with sorrow. The townspeople mourned his loss, for he had been a man who brought light to their lives. For Nneka and young Dike, the loss was unbearable. They stood alone at his funeral, clutching each other as the world they knew slipped away. Yet, as if their grief wasn't enough, another storm awaited them. Chike's younger brother Eze, a man blinded by greed, came forward to claim the family's land and home. "It is my right as the oldest male," he declared, his voice cold and unyielding. Tradition was on his side, and the townspeople, though sympathetic, could do nothing to stop him. Nneka, proud and fierce, stood her ground. "This is our home, Eze. My husband built this with his hands. How can you take it from us?" But Eze was unmoved. "You may stay," he said, his word laced with disdain, "but only if you work for me. You and your son will earn your keep." Left with no choice, Nneka and Dike remained, but their life under Eze's rule was nothing short of a nightmare and misery. Eze treated them not as family, but as servants. Nneka was forced to labor in the fields from dawn to dusk, while Dike, still a boy, was sent to do the dirtiest tasks. Cleaning animal pens, fetching water from distant streams, and tending to Eze's demand became his daily reality. Servitude was their position. "Faster, boy!" Eze barked one afternoon as Dike stumbled under the weight of a sack of grain. "You are as useless as your father was." Those words stunned Dike. His fists clenched, but his mother's splitting eyes reminded him to hold the tongue. She bore her own pain in silence, enduring humiliation to protect her son. Despite everything, Nneka never let her spirit break. At night, after long days of toil, she would sit with Dike under the stars and remind him of his father's wisdom. "Dike, we are more than this suffering," she whispered, her voice steady despite her tears. "Your father believed in you. One day you will rise above this. You will honor his name." These moments gave Dike the strength to endure, but I also felt a growing fire within him, a fire that burned hotter and each passing day under Eze's cruelty. The breaking point came one harsh season, when a drought dried the fields. Eze, unwilling to bear the burden alone, forced Nneka and Dike to work even harder. The little food they were allowed became less, and Dike watched his mother grow thinner and weaker. One evening, they ate a meager meal of dried yams. Dike overheard Eze laughing with his friends. They feasted on roasted meat and palm wine, their voices echoing with mockery. "Let them suffer," Eze said. "That boy will learn the value of obedience." Dike's hands trembled with anger. He had endured the insults, the hunger, and the back-breaking labor, but seeing his mother's pain was too much. That night, he vowed to leave, to find a way to rise above the ashes of their suffering. With nothing left to lose, Nneka made a decision. "We cannot stay here, Dike," she said, her voice firm despite her exhaustion. "We may have nothing, but we still have our dignity." And so, under the cover of darkness, mother and son left Eze's home, with only the clothes on their backs and a small bundle of belongings. They began their journey to the bustling town of Amadie. Their hearts were heavy, but their hope remained. Little did they know, this journey would lead Dike to a new life. A life where he would reclaim power, but at a cost he could never have imagined. Their journey led them to Amadie, a town alive with hum of life. Merchants called out, children played, and the street bustled with endless activity. To Dike it felt like a new world, a world where possibilities and dangers mingled freely. Yet life in the city was not easy. With little to their name, Nneka and Dike struggled to find footing. Hunger gnawed at their bellies, and rejection met them at every turn. Amidst their hardship, a chance encounter changed everything. One day, Dike crossed paths with Toby, tall, sharp-eyed, and confident. Toby seemed to know everything about survival in the city. "You've got more than hunger in your eyes," Toby said, studying Dike. Dike, hesitant but intrigued, couldn't ignore the pull of Toby's word. When Toby handed him a paper bearing a mysterious mark, Dike knew his life was about to change. "The shadows are always watching," Toby whispered before disappearing into the crowd. That night, under the quiet sky, Dike stared at the paper. His mind was racing. Toby's word echoed in his ears, and for the first time in years, Dike felt a flicker of hope, and a dark hope filled by a burning desire rise above his past. He considered joining the shadows. By dawn, Dike made his decision. He would join the shadows, stepping into a path that promised power and control, but at a cost he could not yet imagine. Part 2 coming soon on this channel.
Like, share, and subscribe to African Tales by Odogu.